Let's go, people! Let's go! It's Prognosis Negative time!
Hi, this is Eric.
This is Sean.
And this is Caleb.
Welcome back to the greatest movie podcast that no one's listening to. That is Prognosis Negative. No, that's not true. You're obviously listening to this podcast, if you can hear the sound of my voice. And this is episode 41. Yeah. Back to our usual programming.
We definitely hear the sound of your voice because you do not have an NPR voice, sir.
Thank you.
I was going to say, where's the 0.5s? Where's Josh to go crazy?
This is not Mostly Harmless Cutaway. This is Prognosis Negative.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm getting confused, yeah.
And we've got another movie that probably no one's seen. The Outfit.
You've been all over the world. You could have a shop anywhere you like, and yet you're here.
It doesn't terribly much matter where I am. I have my shears.
What else does a man need besides his shears?
This isn't art. This is a craft. You cannot make something good until you understand the customer.
Do we let all of our customers keep black boxes and back?
If we only allowed angels to be customers, soon we'd have no customers at all. Please, sirs, I don't want any trouble.
I need you to listen carefully. There are 1,000 blue boys out there hunting for this. And if they find it, I start shooting. You follow? Making matters worse, there are 1,000 racket boys hunting for it too. And if they find it, they start shooting. You follow?
Don't want to be involved in whatever it is you do.
You know exactly what it is that we do.
Whoa, full house tonight, huh?
Have you ever heard of The Outfit?
The Outfit.
It's a network of every big-time crew from Santa Monica to Coney Island. And tonight, they sent us a message. They're hiding something, my friend.
I'm gonna need that tape, pal, right now.
Why don't you try and take it?
Gentlemen.
It's gonna be a long night.
Sew him up.
What? I can't.
Sew him up.
You need to tell me what really happened in here tonight. Now. You got 5 seconds to tell me what happened.
Open the trunk.
What?
Open the trunk, then grab his arms, or I'm hiding 2 bodies.
5,
The number of things about me that you don't know.
4,
What's it take, Francis?
3.
I'm telling you, this is the truth.
You want to survive the night? You look them dead in the eyes, and you pretend you're one of them.
There's a little story behind this, and I'm not sure. I guess it was it could have been when I was talking to Sean many weeks ago about this series on Prime, The Terminal List, and I was talking about one of the things I liked about it was you get to the end, and then there's there's the second ending, and there's like a third, and you're like, oh my god, I had no idea, that was the culprit. And then there was even like another ending.
That's not.
That was.
Sir, no.
Hold on. I think there was that, but then we transitioned into talking about, or this was probably on a different day, but in my head they're connected. But on a different day, then this segued into talking about, something that had to do with things that take place in one setting, and there's a term for that, right? I just don't know what it is, and. Oh my gosh, there's some famous examples. What's the one with Christopher Reeve? Is it The Trap?
Death Trap.
Death Trap. There's Death Trap. There's many other notable ones. There's Rope, of course.
Sleuth
by Hitchcock. Is this what you remember, Sean? The conversation?
No. I remember the conversation entirely differently. But keep on going.
Okay, and then so eventually, Sean said, "Oh, you need to watch The Outfit if you like those kinds of things." And then. Then even some more weeks passed after that conversation. And And then I was talking about, because I had Interstellar in my mind, as I often do. And I was saying, hey, we should watch that, for ProgNeg. And then eventually I was like, hey, you know what? I could swing by and we could just like watch it together. I'd rather do it that way. And then Sean said, well, I'll agree to do that if like you watch The Outfit. And I was like, done and done.
Oh, not on the same night, but
No, not on the same night.
Okay, I think I remember this. Okay.
I mean, some parts of my story took place on different days, not exactly the way I explained it, but it was a conversation over several weeks and days, back and forth. And so we ended up seeing Interstellar, and of course that's out in the podcast now. But I didn't forget The Outfit, even though Sean didn't like bring it up again or mention it to me.
Yeah.
And so I went and found it, and I watched it, and that's the whole reason we're here today.
Okay, so I remember the story complete. This is a Rashomon moment. I remember it completely different. I went to go see, my mom was here in March. We're recording this in April. It'll be probably June of 2023 by the time this comes out. But in March,
Not April, by the way.
what?
It's not April. This is October.
Oh, okay. Did I say fucking April? Jesus Christ. Okay, so my mom was here like in March, and I was like, okay, let's go see movies. And she's like, well, what movie do you want to see? And I pulled up the movie app, and the stuff that wasn't horror, Marvel movies, or some sort of fucking rom-com that she would gladly see was The Outfit. And I'm like, hey Ma, let's watch The Outfit. Well, what's that? I go, well, here's the trailer. And when I remember sitting there, we'll watch the trailer on my phone, then we bought the tickets. That was the first movie in a series of movies that we watched over that weekend, the first of which was The Outfit, the last of which was The French Dispatch, which I liked the least. The Outfit was the one that I liked the most. See how I got that dig in there? See? Do you see how I did that?
Masterfully done.
But I remember specifically sitting on my ass in the theater, munching on popcorn and thinking Eric would love this movie. And I think the conversation that we had about movies that are set in one setting, like a play, like Misery, or we mentioned Rope, or there's a whole bunch of other ones. And I tried to think of them myself while I was watching this. I'm like, stop thinking about that, Sean. You have to watch the movie. I remember thinking you would like this, Eric. And then I told you whenever we next record, I'm like, you're going to see this, Eric. You'll really like this movie. And that's where we are. And that's that. Caleb?
How'd you get roped into this?
Yeah, how did I get here? I just asked Eric, what do you want to talk about? What movie do you want to pick for ProgNeg? And I think I was pulling out something from my list that I mentioned in the last episode, but you wanted to go with this instead. And I'd heard of this when it came out, but it played in my local theater in a very short amount of time, and so it's just one I missed. And I go to see almost anything. So I was planning to see this, but by the time I finally got around to it, it was gone. So
okay, so I'm actually waiting with bated breath to hear what Eric thinks about this movie, because I feel like my reputation with Eric lies on whether or not he likes this movie. I feel like he's Joaquin Phoenix in Gladiator, and he's going to point the thumb up or down. Which, by the way, I know as soon as I ask you this, Eric, you're not going to give me a direct answer.
No.
But Eric, did you enjoy this movie? Oh,
Look.
Settle in, Sean. Settle in.
No,
Here we go.
I will say, I don't want to say I took the recommendation with a grain of salt, because it is coming from Sean. But
I don't know what the fuck that means.
Just different people in my life recommend things to me, and I feel like nobody knows me, or at least what I like about movies or things. Tons of recommendations I've got from family or coworkers or whomever. So I'm always a little bit skeptical whenever someone says like, "Oh, you're gonna love this." Okay, I'm open to it. So when I finally got to this and I put it on, it only took about 10 minutes, I think, and I was hooked in. I think approximately 10 minutes, and because you never know. Well, for me, I get like a mild anxiety whenever I push play on anything these days, because I don't know if this is going to feel like homework or if it's going to just take me away. And this one took me away. After about 10 minutes in, completely forgot about the time, completely invested, and that's usually a sign of a really good thing. And yeah, this was that kind of movie. It was a
But
but what?
is there a but?
Later in this conversation, but not up front.
Okay. All right. Caleb, how did you feel about this?
I think I felt a similar way. Pretty quickly, yeah, I was taken by the performances and especially the look of the movie. I think it just looks fantastic. And I like the settings, so... And I could tell pretty early on that it was like, okay, this is probably going to take place solely in this one location. And I just enjoy those types of stories, so I was definitely sucked in pretty quickly.
That's how I feel about it too. And I didn't know that coming into it. And all of a sudden it struck me, oh, I get this now. And by the way, I just want to say on a side note, the main actor in here, the protagonist is, if you will call him a protagonist, is Mark Rylance. He's played by Mark Rylance. Wait, Rylance or Rylance? I don't know, Rylance.
I always hear it as Rylance, but I don't know if that's correct.
Yeah.
And I've been tricked for the last 5 years thinking that Mark Rylance was in Cabin in the Woods and he was in The Shape of Water. No, I was watching the Jeffrey Dahmer miniseries. I'm like, my God, Mark Rylance is awesome as his dad. No, sir. No, Sean. No, that's Richard Jenkins. Turns out that Richard Jenkins and Mark Rylance are two completely different old guys. And when I say old guys, I mean like maybe 15 to 20 years older than me, which is, I don't know. But yeah, Mark Rylance is the English Richard Jenkins, just like Richard Jenkins is the American Mark Rylance. And I also thought that he was American all this whole time until I recently, just as I was watching this for the second time, looked him up. He is indeed English. And I was like, wow, that American guy can sure do an English accent. No, he's really English.
Oh boy.
So stop. Okay.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and I looked him up too, and I was like, oh, I've sure seen this guy in something because he looks so familiar. And I have seen him in a bunch of stuff, but I don't remember a single role that he was in any of the stuff I've seen him in.
He won an Academy Award for being in Bridge of Spies, directed by Steven Spielberg. Do you remember that movie?
I don't watch later day Spielberg for the most part.
Yeah, neither does anybody else. But we watched it. Yeah, and he also won a BAFTA for that same film, and I guess he was okay in that. But whatever.
If you listen to a Best Picture podcast that comes out in about 6 months, you'll hear me recreate his performance on the episode.
Oh, there you go. Hopefully we'll get an appearance in this episode as well for the ProgNeg listeners.
I really don't know what he's talking about, but
probably drunk.
We just did this a week ago, but Sean was like, what do you call it? Blackout drunk when I did it.
Okay, yeah, I was really drunk when we recorded The Revenant. Yeah.
Yes, it was during The Revenant.
That's me today with I'm already deep into my second cup.
So the thing about this movie, and I when I first saw it in the theater, I loved it, and then I heard people talk about it on a podcast or two, and somebody described it as very Hitchcockian, like that's, I don't know if that's, but this guy meant it in not a compliment way, but in a critical way. Like, I've seen this before. It's all Hitchcocky, and it's just like Hitchcock. No, it's not. It's not at all. Because you're thinking of Hitchcock because you're thinking of the body and the trunk and everybody's there. Or
yeah.
No. The story, maybe, but Hitchcock didn't write, for the most part, stories. He directed films. And this film does not, although this film looks great, as I think you, Caleb, said, it looks fantastic. There is nothing Hitchcockian about the way that this was directed. This does come off as something that would make a bloody good play, in East Broadway, or maybe it's West Broadway. I don't know, but it's nevertheless really good, and you are thinking about it in chapters. It's almost like this film is blocked out in certain things. Like, okay, this is happening. Then there's a twist. Oh my God, how are we going to deal with this? Once we deal with this, fuck, now this happens. Then we're going to deal with that. Fuck, it's getting worse. It's kind of like, if you tell a lie, you got to cover up with another lie, with another lie, with another lie. And if y'all seen, what's that? A Simple Plan. I think it's directed by Sam Raimi with Bill Paxton and Billy Bob Thornton. It's a little bit like that in terms of thriller. Obviously, the plot is entirely different, but yeah.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I looked up this filmmaker, Graham Moore, I think it was. I have written down somewhere in here, but I can't find it in my notes. He's a first-time director, and I was thinking, this kind of reminds me in some ways of, like, he looked at what Quentin Tarantino did with Reservoir Dogs, with the kind of close quarters crime drama, but then took more of the mystery elements from, like, The Hateful Eight, and kind of combined those two to make this movie. And I think that it worked really well for him. I think for a first-time director, it's nice to have such a limited focus. And then he brought in a pretty veteran cinematographer to give it the great look that it has. So smart choices on his part for a first film.
Yeah, that is the director is the guy that wrote The Imitation Game.
Yes.
That movie about touring.
Yeah, I never seen that. Heard good things, I never saw it.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's all right. It doesn't suck, but it's like Oscar bait. Whatever.
Yes, I agree with Sean on this.
That's what it looked like. I think you should watch those films. Like later day Spielberg. No, that's mean. I'm drunk. I apologize. Spielberg.
Oh, Caleb, you're so fucked up.
But he also wrote a book called The Sherlockian. I don't know much about it, but I can see what the title implies.
Yeah, that doesn't sound great. Oh, but I wasn't really thinking of Rope. But now that you guys brought up the Hitchcock element, I could definitely think of that for certain parts of this movie. That's interesting. Yeah, definitely lots of influence.
Oh, definitely Rope. I think the person Sean was speaking of misused the term Hitchcockian, because I think they were just meant like the genre or type, but they misused that word.
I think that might be right. Yeah. This actually would be a great double feature with the Wachowskis' Bound, starring Gina. Oh God, what's her?
Gershon. Gina
Gershon. I almost said Gina Rowlands. I'd like to see that. Gina Gershon and Jennifer Tilly as the lesbian couple that outsmart Joey Pants, the gangster, involving in that movie. Both movies are Hitchcockian, and this movie is Hitchcockian in that it has a MacGuffin, that being the tape. And I had a little bit of trouble understanding exactly what the tape was, but it really doesn't matter, because that's just the thing that everybody's like looking for. It could be a gem, or it could be maybe a dagger or something like that. Doesn't matter.
A Maltese Falcon.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. But the problem, no, I'm not going to say what the problem is until later. But yeah, in Bound, you have I think it's a bag full of cash. Oh, that's a good movie. I'd love to see that again. That's a really...
Oh, I never seen that.
Caleb.
Eric, add that to the ProgNeg list.
Oh, that's...
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. I think I rented the VHS back in the day and just skipped to the Mr. Skin parts.
Jesus,
and that was
Christ.
I'm adding it to the list right now.
No, if you like this movie, you'll like Bound. This is the movie that Wachowski's made to make The Matrix, and it's
right. I'm very aware of
way
it.
better than The Matrix.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, I add to the list right under The Incredible Shrinking Woman. So there you go.
Oh, I love that movie too. I need to buy that. I think that's a great. Or it has
Yeah,
a
I remember
Arrow release. I don't know. I need to get that.
Sean saying you wanted to revisit it. That's why I add to the list
Yeah.
to bring out at some point.
Galaxy Glue.
Hell yeah, Shrinking Woman. Hell yeah, I saw a trailer for that the other day.
Galaxy Glue. I think that's on Shout Factory or Arrow. Either one. One of them recently released that. But
Well, for the listener, I just want to give them an idea because I feel like there's probably listeners who listen to this and they may not have any intention of ever watching this. I mean, when they come into this conversation and so they have no idea what we're talking about. So this movie, The Outfit, it takes place in 1956, Chicago, and Rylance is this older guy who is, you would call him a tailor, but he wouldn't call himself a tailor. He'd call himself a cutter. He makes suits. He's British. He originally trained on Savile Row in London in his prior life, but now he's in 50s Chicago, and he makes really well-made, tailored custom suits. And a lot of his foot traffic, I guess, are like gangster types.
Yeah.
It's 50s Chicago. And they're doing their own thing, but he doesn't pay attention to them. They have like a drop box in his work area, and he has a plucky assistant who runs the front of his shop, and she has dreams of leaving Chicago and going somewhere like traveling or whatnot, and eventually things happen the night one of the gangsters brings over the son of the mob boss who's been shot, and they start dealing with that situation in the middle of the night, and that kind of like it all unfolds from there, really, about trying to deal with him. And then there's this thing about a tape that everybody wants to get their hands on because there could be a lot of implications for this tape. Like they believe there's a rat in the organization, or someone is talking to the feds. They're trying to figure that out. And then later we learn that there's this thing called the Outfit, and it's some like secret society of gangsters, like nationally or internationally. And the mob boss, he's trying to, get his organization known out there so that he can get invited into and accepted into the Outfit. That supposedly was this thing that Al Capone like created. And so that's what it's all about. And one thing after another happens once we, deal with the shot son of the mob boss and trying to deal with it and trying to figure out who the rat is. And there's all these twists and turns.
Many twists and turns. This is the most recent movie, well, in my memory, that has this many twists and turns since I don't know what. But I think this came out, like I said, in March of 2022. I think if it came out a few months earlier, I think that Mark Rylance would have been an Oscar contender for Best Actor because he is superb in this. Actually, there's not a bad actor in any of these folks. I think second place takes the guy who played old Pops Boyle, the daddy gangster that comes in. And he has a big monologue where he talks to Mark Rylance. I don't even remember Mark Rylance's name in this movie. He's just the cutter to me.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Yeah. And there's this moment when it's revealed about a jacket. Okay, everything's been going smoothly for like 10 or 15 minutes. And then he mentions the jacket. And I didn't remember this the first time watching. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And there's a conversation when they're talking about the tools of the trade. Mark Rylance has his shears, which are these huge shears, and they look like a murder weapon. And, he kind of is hesitant to have Pops Barley or whatever his name is touch him. And he's like, it's okay. No, it's all right. I've got my tools too. And he puts out this gun on the table and I've killed many men, blah, 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 blah. But then he says something about that jacket. Oh, God damn it. This is working so well. There is a scene in a movie. I don't think the scene is, well, no. where it's a scene called the movie True Romance, and it's a scene between Dennis Hopper and Christopher Walken. It's quite honestly one of the best scenes ever filmed between two actors. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, awesome scene.
Yeah.
I don't know which part you're talking about. I haven't seen it in a million years.
I tell you what is said in that scene, but it's not good. Just go YouTube it. Type in True Romance, Dennis Hopper, Christopher Walken.
Yeah, that's the big scene for those two.
That is the other side of the card from this scene, which is kind of like, okay, we don't want to make it that scene, but we're going to try to glide along. We're going to make sure everything's and everything gets fucked up, and then we're afraid that it's going to turn into the scene like from True Romance.
Yeah, except more subtle.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that scene is not set at all. True Romance.
I don't know exactly I'm not sure exactly what the reference is since I don't remember it offhand. But you mentioned True Romance, and I already had like 2 Tarantino movies in my mind already, and then of course he wrote True Romance, and so it's a device that he used, I guess, because there's something similar in Reservoir Dogs where the crime boss, when he's hearing an explanation, like I can't remember what it triggered it in the movie, but something didn't register to him in somebody's story. I don't know if it was Keitel's story or what's his name, but there was something like that, and then. Again, in Inglourious Bastards, when everything's going fine in the underground speaking,
yes,
except for when
that's excellent.
Fassbender does the 3, and so I wonder. Tarantino probably has 10 inspirations for that move that he wrote into True Romance. I wonder what his 10 inspirations were for that kind of oops, he stepped in it moment. Is, but yeah, and that is one of the fun parts of the movie because I've seen it twice now, and I guess this is part of the but from earlier, and I was thoroughly taken away on my first viewing. On my second viewing, I don't know. I don't think it helps to know what's going to happen.
No, it doesn't.
It was better when I was going in as a blank slate, you know what I mean, seeing the inner workings. It just wasn't as fun the second time, knowing everything. But the first time, yeah, because this movie definitely creates that moment of you just want him to be able to walk away, just to get out of it. If they could just leave, but then of course it wouldn't be a movie. But because he gets so close, like that moment you just described with the jacket, he gets so close, and then there's something.
Yeah.
And
I'll say on a first viewing, I think this movie really was working all the way up until we get to the very end.
Oh.
And all the twists start being revealed. And then it just becomes a little eye-rolly. Sometimes I feel like when movies kind of ram a bunch of twists at once.
Yeah.
It can be a little bit okay, now you're almost losing me here. And I definitely had some of that with this, but there was so many great moments leading up to it that I can kind of just ignore that little part of me.
Yeah. If you're a listener and you intend to watch this at some point, just shut off the podcast now because there's no turning back now. Anyway, I was completely fine with everything and I appreciated the reveals, but the part where I was like, okay, you should have stopped right there, was when what's his name? When Francis gets back up.
Yes.
A la Jason or Michael Myers.
Yes.
That was the part I was like, okay, now you've taken too much.
Yeah, then he reveals the tattoos, and I'm like, okay, here we go. Now we're going to learn a new backstory for him.
When we see Mark Rylance in the foreground, and then Francis gets up after being shot, I don't know how many times.
Yeah,
it was just like
at least a couple.
Yeah, the shot is almost exactly like when the reveal at the end of the first Saw movie, and but it's not as good because you're absolutely right, both of you. The movie didn't know when to stop, And I remember sitting there watching it, and Mark Rylance starts talking about, "Oh, I did bad things, and I was just like you." And he's revealing his. I'm like, "Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Just end. This is bad. You shouldn't have done this. Shut up! Shut
Yeah.
up!"
I was going to say that's also the worst instance of an issue that was cropping up throughout the movie. That for the most part I could accept, but at that point I was just like, okay, now it's gone too far. Which is, there's a little bit of artifice in terms of characters allowing other characters to go off on monologues, which again feels kind of like a play bit.
Yeah.
Like there was a little bit of that with Francis and the La Fontaine's leader. Like he's got the gun pointed at her, she's going off on her speechifying, kind of insulting him even. It's like, really, how long are you going to stand here and let her just talk on? And at that point, Francis is coming to stab him, and then he's just like, okay, I'll let you give me your whole backstory. Tell me about your family, and I'll just stand here in the flames.
Yeah, I agree with Francis with the knife, but not necessarily Miss La Fontaine and Francis, because Francis had two guns pointing at him. If he pulled the trigger, he was going to die. I mean, he was...
Yeah, he's a little bit of a hothead, this guy. He's not the brightest guy around. I was just a little surprised with him with that scene.
Yeah.
And same with earlier when, it was like right before the phone call when the tailor pretends that Richie called him. And he goes off telling his kind of speech to the crime boss. I thought that scene went a little bit too long in that regard, too. I was like, really? You're all just going to kind of stop what you're doing to let him just kind of monologue to you for a bit?
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff, again, feels more like it'd be okay on the stage. And maybe shows more of the element that this guy's more of a writer than a director. That didn't seem very cinematic, I thought.
When the phone call comes through, I think that we all know, the audience knows, that it's the Boyle crime family or somebody from the Boyle calling in, or maybe it's Richie, but it's not Richie. He's going to make them think it's Richie. We know instantly what he's going to do. And within minutes of him having that conversation on the phone, he comes back to the main room. He's talking to all of them. That I think that's turned on his head, because the worst thing. No, wait. I'm getting the. Am I getting the things? There's a moment when they're going to torture Mabel, and he does not want that. They're going to torture Mabel because they think that
that's when he admits that he did it.
No, that's not when he admits that he did it. I don't think he admits that he did it to them at all.
Yeah, and I'm getting confused. But that is the scene that you were talking about, Sean. Yeah, they were just about to torture, and then the phone call came, and then that's when he gets them to leave before. But I love Francis during that scene, by the way, because he immediately knows, like, hey, wait a minute, this Taylor, like, he's got a lot more going on than I thought he did, and now he's trying to scam my boss here, and like, what the fuck's going on? I thought that was a great scene.
And Francis's motivation changes so many times throughout this entire movie, because then he just wants to get the fuck out of there. He wants to get as far away as he can from Richie's body, because that will be his undoing, literally his death, because Richie's father is going to kill him if he finds out that he killed his son. There's another thing that I didn't like in this movie, and that is the tape turns out to be fake.
Yep.
It is not a...
Well, no, there's two tapes.
Yeah, there's two tapes. The tape that they have in the envelope is just a recording of Mark Rylance of the things that he's been telling the audience all the time. Ha ha ha. But it turns out that he's been recording this whole fucking thing for 3 hours. And trust me, I've tried to record 3 hours of stuff on a cassette tape when I was a kid, and it doesn't work. I don't know how he fit all that shit in a tape for 3 hours.
No. That's not the way I took it. No.
Okay, all right.
No, he didn't record. He didn't record all that. No. There was a legit tape that was of value that was supposed to go to the FBI, just like everybody thought. But the tape that he has sewn into the jacket is a completely different tape. That's the one that has his like narration and whatnot. But there is a real tape that has the stuff that's been recorded. But I don't think it's not this evening. It's the prior times when the guys had come in.
No, it is this evening.
Yeah,
because he does say that he.
It's this evening.
Yeah, because he says at the end that he got on tape the leader of the La Fontaine's killing that one guy. And
Oh yes, you're right. He did get the Fontaines.
and after all, I mean, this is the big spoiler, but the outfit never existed. And the tape that they sent, he sent. So it was never necessarily a real tape in that way. At least that's how I took it.
Well, the one in the jacket was not real. That was the one with his own recitation. That's the one
Yes.
that he gave to the Fontaines.
And that's the
But there was the other tape. Okay, you're right. He did record her. That's the one that he had in the player that was going.
Yeah, and that's also the one that he had in his jacket was the same one that Richie and Francis brought in the beginning that later went missing. And yeah, I don't know about that.
No, it was once the twist was that he'd been planning this out for weeks and he was the outfit. That's when I started to be like, okay, now this is getting a little bit too away from itself. It started making me think, and I'm sure you guys didn't think of this, of that one Peter Capaldi episode. It was like when the doctor had like set up this little time trap where he was like stealing something. Do you guys remember this? I wish I could remember the name of the episode.
Yeah.
Yes, I do remember that one. It was like the heist episode.
Yeah.
Time heist.
And he had set the whole thing up because they had to like rescue the thing, and the thing was him, right?
It was. So, I don't think it was him. I think it was like a character that was involved in the heist or something like that. I don't remember all the details. But I remember I was rolling my eyes.
But yeah, he planted all the seeds for them to go on.
Yeah.
And he had it like all thought out.
Yeah, this was definitely making me think of that during that moment.
My mind definitely didn't go there.
No.
But
and rightfully so.
I agree, Caleb. There is no way that this could be planned out that thoroughly. But what's strange is that when the movie opens, he's talking about making a suit. First, you have to make your drawing, then you have to do your cutting, and he's doing these things as the movie progresses.
Mm-hmm.
But it still doesn't make sense. How the fuck could he actually plan all this unless he decided to start recording in the middle of all of their shenanigans? I don't know.
Yes, that definitely is what happened. He definitely started recording in the middle of the shenanigans because there's no way he could have expected that. No, I think I'm okay with it in the sense that he did have a plan. It's just all these unexpected events, like the shooting and taking out like the whole family. That wasn't really part of the plan. The plan was just have the tape, a tape with legitimate evidence, get the FBI or whatever, and then also cause them to fight each other, the two gangs. But then once Richie and Francis show up, then he's just improvising the whole way in real time, trying to hold it together. And I can accept that because you're right. There's no way he could have planned the events like, I'll be ready for the day they show up. No, that was never part of the plan. He's just dancing and improvising on the spot in all these scenes that transpire, still trying to hold together the original plan, I believe.
And I think that's maybe what the screenwriter thought, like, oh, he's way too smart to do all this. I mean, like, he's like superhuman smart. We have to make him at the end. We're going to make him. It turns out that he's an assassin for the Allies. So it's bullshit. Don't do that. Stop it. Don't make him into a fucking Marvel universe superhero or comic hero or whatever you want to call him. It was fine when it ended with him and Mabel.
Yes, I agree.
But you did mention how he talks about, obviously from the opening, explaining how you make a suit. And that I did appreciate, not just the beginning, but every time he references it, because it definitely speaks to the whole framework of his plan and the whole movie. It's similar to The Prestige when Michael Caine is talking about, he's explaining what the Prestige means and how there's step 1 and step 2 and step 3. And he's really describing the whole movie you're about to watch in The Prestige. That was the same device that was employed here. And that did work on second watch. All his comments about making a suit, he's explaining the whole entire movie. And he talks about that's why you have to follow the plan, and there'll be these unexpected things that come up, and you still have to stick to the plan and stick to your patterns. And everything he says about suit making directly applies to the movie. And that part checked out as far as I could tell on second rewatch. And I appreciate that. He explains yeah, obviously he's talking about the suit, but he's explaining his whole process on how he's going to pull this scheme off.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to go back to something that you guys mentioned earlier about how good this movie looks, and not necessarily on a cinematography level, because it does look good on a cinematography level. There's lots of browns and yellows, and it's perfect for a gloomy December evening in Chicago. But the costumes, which I never thought that suits could look that cool. And
Are you kidding me?
I'm thinking, no, hold on, sir. Hold on. Even if you think of a movie like The Untouchables from is it the early 90s? 1989? I can't remember.
Yeah. It's like 1990-ish.
These guys' suits look better than that, and they shine out more than that. I don't know if it's because it's a movie about a guy who makes suits. But fun fact, the suits, the costumes were designed by Zach Posen, famous designer also of Project Runway fame. So yeah, come on, Eric.
I don't know him, but good for him.
No, I think no. I'm just saying I've definitely noticed some nice looking tailoring in certain movies and shows. The guy who co-wrote this movie, he also wrote and had a little role like in a couple episodes of Mad Men. So and the way, at least the photo they have of the co-writer, the photo they have of IMDb, he actually looks so much like this other character on Mad Men. Like that's like how he looks in real life. The way the writer looks in real life looks like how this other character in Mad Men looked in the show. For those who are familiar with Mad Men, it's the guy who works in the office who is like the closet gay. He kind of looks like him in real life. So, but like you've seen Downton Abbey, they have some pretty impeccable costumes, and suits and things of that nature in that show. For one, there's others out there, but definitely better than Untouchables. And since you mentioned fun fact, and in the same vein, fun fact, I mean, you have to take this. I mean, according to the trivia section of IMDb, Mark Rylance, the actual actor, in his youth, actually trained on Savile Row to be a tailor.
Oh wow!
Hey, there you go.
Are you sure Savile Row or Jimmy Savile Row?
Oh, I knew that was coming. I knew that was going to come up at some point.
Oh, too soon. I
assumed it was going to be Sean that would bring it up.
I don't think he's young enough, but. Also, is this racist to bring this up? I don't know. Fuck it.
Go ahead. Let's do it.
Oh boy, this is ProgNeg.
Usually, it's my segment of the podcast.
I was so impressed, like when she's talking to the Lafontaines on the phone in French, and they turn out to be black, and I'm like, yeah, big old black girl. She's the big crime boss. She says that she shot Pops Boyle in the head. She says that, and there's something in me that can't help but think maybe she's just saying that. Maybe this is just another level in the lies, but it can't be because this movie's almost over. So I'm assuming that she did indeed shoot him in the head, like she said. But they're going down after this. But yeah, I kind of like to see that. I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool, even though they're criminals. But I was like, yay, it's a black lady. Okay, leading them.
And I have to play my usual meme on any podcast that I'm on, but I believe she's the only Doctor Who actor in this movie. She showed up in
Clutch the Pearls. Where? From when?
Showed up in Twice Upon a Time. I don't remember what character she played in that, but I did look her up earlier, and yeah, she is in Doctor Who. So there you go. One of the worst episodes of Doctor Who. Twice Upon a Time. Piece of crap. But
I don't remember that one. I remember that name, but I don't remember what it's about. I'm kind of rusty.
That's the one where Peter Capaldi regenerates and they completely besmirch the first Doctor, turn him into just a bumbling joke.
Oh yeah, fuck that. Yeah, never mind. I don't care.
Wait, who did she play in that?
No, seriously.
Who did she play in that story?
It says she played a character.
No, I like that story.
She plays a character named Helen Clay. I do not remember that character. even though we watched it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Helen Clay in that episode I barely remember, and I wasn't even drunk watching it.
No,
but I have it on Blu-ray.
And not worth remembering.
I like that one.
Yeah.
No,
It's terrible.
that was probably that was the last
Eric.
or one of the last.
Just in case you don't remember, Sean, that's the episode where, as Peter Capaldi was regenerating, he gives a massive speech, and at one point he says, no one can know my name anyway, except for children. Sometimes children can hear my name, but other people couldn't know it. I was just like, whoa.
See, fuck that. See, this is why I don't remember it. I blocked it from my mind because it probably caused a hemorrhage when I first heard it.
Sorry, Eric.
Sorry.
No, it was a good one. It was a good one. It wasn't one of the greatest ever, but no, it was effective.
Also, hashtag Mark Rylance for 15th Doctor.
Oh,
Just saying.
there we
I don't
go.
know. That's
There
not
we
going to
go.
fucking happen, but
They wouldn't do it because of the reception for Capaldi. And
Big Finish would.
you know, Rylance is a great actor, at least in the 4 or 5 things I've seen him in. But except for when he plays an outright American, when he plays a British person, he seems definitely very samey as the character, at least in the movies I've seen. He seems like the same kind of guy in every movie that he appears in. Except for the one where he played like an American that I saw. But anyway.
Wait, which one was that? Wait, which one was it where he played an American? Is that Bridge of Spies?
I believe he played an American in Ready Player One, Spielberg again.
Oh, I've seen that. Don't remember a minute.
Yeah, I turned it off.
See, I had first seen Rylance in Dunkirk. That's the first place where he registered for me, was that movie. And then I saw Ready Player One not too long, like in the same general time. And when I realized it was the same person, I was like kind of blown away. Like, what? That British guy was that he played a character in Ready Player One that was kind of based upon what's his name? Bill Gates, Microsoft.
Oh, he was the bad guy. Not
the bad guy.
Oh wait,
no, not the bad guy. The bad guy was in Star Wars.
Yeah, was he the one who like created the game and then like disappeared?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he's supposed to be like a Bill Gates, Steve Jobs type of person. And he worked with Simon Pegg in the movie.
Oh wow, don't remember Simon Pegg being in that.
But I think he was an American, or yeah, he was portraying like an American character in that movie, like an American older nerd type. But going back to the race thing, I want to say that I wasn't shocked by them being black. I was like, yeah. But there was some old joke, I can't remember how it goes, like that I heard since back in the 80s. I don't remember how the joke / riddle goes, but it's something about like, there's a doctor and his daughter. That has nothing to do with Doctor Who. It's like a doctor and a daughter, but there's something about like there's 2 women. How's that possible? And like I can't remember the whole thing about how the whole joke goes or the riddle, but the solution was because the doctor's a woman. Because
I know what you're. This was.
If you had like an 80s, if you had an 80s frame, like an 80s mind. Like you would think that you wouldn't assume, you wouldn't guess that the doctor was a woman. You would assume it was a man. I know it's not really the case now these days. But anyway, so that's what actually got me, was that she was a female. Because how many mobster movies or things do you watch where the head of the family is a matriarch? Practically never, especially not in the Italian stuff, the Italian mobster stuff. Because but so that one got me. I went, oh shit! I was completely expecting a man, and this was a good feeling that they got me on this, because I didn't see it coming. It got me completely by surprise. But then it made sense to me though, or it didn't seem like they were inserting something from 2020.
It didn't seem like they were trying to be woke.
Exactly. It felt like it fit into the context that they would play by different rules. And I like this idea because I know there are a lot of black immigrant types throughout this country's history that came from like French speaking, either the Caribbean or French speaking like African countries, or even from France. And so like that just made sense. And I go, oh yeah, no, this doesn't feel injected. It feels like it could fit. And I could like, yeah, this like it checks.
Well, I was thinking since Chicago, she was from New Orleans. At least that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. And I like the idea that Pops Boyle is talking to Mark Rylance earlier about the different families. There's the Irish from Chicago that live in Chicago. There's the Polish from St. Louis. There's the Jews on the east side. And if I had seen this without a script, with the sound turned off or something like that, I totally would have expected him to say, "Oh, and then we have the ends from whatever side of Chicago that they're on, from 31st and Halstead or whatever," and they didn't go there. And I'm glad that they didn't make it about race, but I'm also glad that they were. I think this is a point that maybe we're focusing on too much, and
no, I liked it.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's it. I appreciated that. I appreciated that. That was a positive use of subverting my expectations.
Yeah,
and I liked the way that scene played. I thought with Francis, and I liked that the tailor like signals them pretty quickly to be like, "Hey, there's this fucking guy in here. Go take him out." I liked his little.
Yes,
he's always betraying.
So he's slick every time. I can't remember where I heard this, but somebody said to somebody one time in a movie, "You are." It was Columbo. I just remembered it now. Richard Hamilton, his future victim, telling him, "You are so smooth. You're smooth." Yeah, and Mark Rylance's character, he never cracks under all this. But you can kind of tell, if you watch closely, you can tell his mind's a working and nobody else's mind's a working. One thing he does, though, that I don't understand is when, after he patches up Richie and Richie comes and sits down, he gets him a glass of water and they're sitting there smoking cigarettes. And Mark Rylance pulls this thing where he's like, "I'm the rat. I'm the one." And then they're like, "Ha ha ha, I was just kidding. Ha 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 ha." I didn't like that. I'm like, why would you?
I've been waiting to talk about that scene. I love that scene. I don't love that moment.
You like that? Okay.
That moment feels weird. It almost felt like an early, maybe too early signal that he was kind of playing these guys. But I really like the scene when he's like, kind of the two of them are bonding and Richie's like, "Oh, I can see why my dad likes you. I can see why you guys get along." That was a really nice scene between the two of them.
It was a nice scene. And the thing is, it about gangster movies, it's like, hey, I really like these gangster guys. I don't want to be like them, but I kind of want to be their friends. They would be really good friends to have. And that's exactly what he does in this movie. He makes very quick friends of the gangsters once he patches up Richie. But I thought it was very out of character. In terms of the story and making you feel something, the first time I saw it, I agree with you. But in terms of him communicating with Richie and them trying to form a bond, I mean, Richie even says, "I was going to fucking shoot you," or something like that. Like, I wouldn't take, that's a big chance to take. I mean, come on, you're making a joke. The guy could have pulled out a gun, but it helps with the story. And
I guess it's quite quickly afterwards when Francis comes back and then he kind of isolates Francis and kind of turns the two of them against each other. So maybe they needed to set up early that he was a little bit quicker and a little bit maybe not the simple tailor that he seemed to be. But it wasn't the best way to do it. Yeah, it seemed a little clumsy.
But the part where Francis comes back and he's talking to Francis in the front room or in the front of the shop, and he's talking to Richie in the back of the shop, of the shop, and he's saying, "Oh, Richie's crazy. He keeps saying this. Oh, Francis. Oh, he thinks this." And then you realize, like, oh, he's playing these guys against each other, and that's kind of cool. But fuck, it fucks up. Again, he's got a great idea, And it all goes tits up about 10 minutes later when Richie is actually shot and they have to hide his body and all that. By the way, I don't think Francis could have cleaned up that blood that fast, but it's
No.
okay.
Well, by the end, I wondered if he intended one of them to be killed.
I don't know either.
I don't know, because it seems like his point was to. I mean, he seems like he doesn't like fucking Richie because he's, messing around with that chick that's kind of his pseudo daughter.
Well, I think it was just trying to play him against, and then it was a happy outcome that one happened to take out the other.
Yeah, either way, he wanted Richie out of the picture because that girl, Mabel, was it? I'm sure he was pleased with that.
Yeah. Is it Mabel?
Yes.
Yeah. Mabel Shawn. That's her name.
Yeah, there's a name you don't hear anymore, Mabel. Only grandmas.
Well, yeah. She'd be about my grandma's age. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, grandmas. Or dogs. My cousin's dog is named Mabel.
It's a cute name for a dog.
And I say, hey, it's Mabel with the cable.
Oh, boy.
Because there's a horrible episode of Tales from the Crypt with a guy named I'm Abel with the cable. I'm sorry, Caleb. That was stupid. You go ahead.
Hey, it's okay. Oh, but I did want to mention the guy playing Richie. I thought he was quite good here. And I just saw him recently in a movie with the actress who plays Mabel, Zoe Deutsch, called Not Okay on Netflix. Have you guys heard of that movie?
Only in my research, but I don't know anything else about it.
Oh man, it's like this girl gets herself canceled because she's like, oh, I was here in Paris during this terrorist attack. Oh, everyone feel bad for me. But she really wasn't, and then it blows up in her face. And
I've heard of this, yes, or read about it somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, my partner's a big fan of Zoe Deutsch, so whenever she makes a movie, we usually check it out. So yeah, that's a fun movie, and I thought both of them were good in that as well. And then, to see them paired up here the same year, 2022, doing some good work, the two of them.
She's okay in the Netflix series The Politician, if you can get into that series. It's not for everybody.
Yeah, my partner liked it. I didn't watch it.
Did your partner see this movie?
No, but it was on our list to see together. That's when we were going to try to see in the theater, but it was just gone so quickly. And yeah, Eric, I was curious if you had any interest in this when this came out. Was this something that you wanted to see or was on your radar at all? Or?
I wasn't, I think there was a different movie that was on my radar that I thought this movie was that movie, because when Sean first mentioned The Outfit to me, I could have sworn I saw the poster somewhere, but I don't know if it was in fact the same movie or another movie that came out this year. I don't know, but not very much, let's just say. Not really. I would have completely missed it.
Yeah, I don't feel like it got a very good push. Like, I don't feel like the ads were as pervasive as some other movies have gotten this year. And yeah, it was, at least in my area, gone so quickly. I just thought it was weird.
Yeah, I think it's a shame too, because the movie only cost $5 million, but it still didn't make back its budget at the box office. And I think it's because no one knew about it. Really, I think they would have put a little bit more into marketing, because it cost $5 million to make and then took in $4 million. I feel like they could have got over the hump there if they had pushed it out a little bit more with advertising.
I think it's a COVID movie, in that it was made during COVID times. We have a limited number of cast members. We're all stuck in one place. I heard somebody make this point about the movie X. Have you guys seen this?
Yep.
Yeah. The same thing about that. The same thing about Bodies. Maybe a couple others. I was about to say Ready or Not, but that's pre-COVID. Ready or Not, by the way, is fucking awesome.
Yeah, that movie is.
Tenet would have done better if it wouldn't have been COVID times. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, that was slap right at the beginning, like the worst time ever.
Absolutely.
Tenet was released. It was like right when COVID struck.
It was too soon. I was hoping it was going to fix everything, but too soon. But actually, this movie was hurt by competing against X as well.
Oh yeah, I guess it did come out around the same time.
It did.
Going back to The Outfit, was I the only one that thought that Zach Quinto was the FBI guy that Mabel lets into the office? Did you guys notice that?
I definitely was not thinking of him. I haven't thought about him since Star Trek Beyond.
I should have looked it up. I did not, but he totally looked like Zach Quinto from American Horror Story Season 2.
That was the co-writer of the movie.
Zachary Quinto?
Oh, it was?
Oh, no, the detective.
No,
Oh,
Jonathan McClane, who played the FBI agent.
Oh, okay. All right. Shame on me
I
then.
was like, wow, what a coincidence.
He was the one who I said in his IMDb photo he resembles the classic gay character from Mad Men.
Oh, that's Zach Quinto? Oh, wow.
No!
No,
There's no Zach Quinto.
Wait, does Zach Quinto, is he in Mad Men?
No.
Okay.
A different actor portrays that actual character.
I will bet you anything that the closet gay guy in Mad Men is the same guy that was in Jeffrey from the 90s, who was Patrick Stewart's boyfriend in that movie. Because I know he's in that show, and I'm like, hey, that's the guy who played Patrick Stewart's boyfriend that died of AIDS in that movie from the 90s. Anybody? No.
Did this person have a little bit of an Italian look, like ethnically?
He did. He does, I should say. He's got dark hair. That's all I go with Italian.
Oh, geez. Now I'm going to have to confirm this.
I mean, he wasn't talking with his hands when I saw 2 episodes.
His skin is a little olivey.
Yes, olive. Yes, he's attractive. Yes, but they're all attractive.
Okay, now I'm gonna have to find out if this is true because this is ridiculous. If this is true,
he was carrying around pasta when he was talking to.
No, there's a guy. Did anybody see the movie Jeffrey from the 90s based on a play?
No.
So Brian Batt is the actor from Mad Men. Let me look in his IMDb.
All right.
Because we're gonna have to get to the bottom of this.
Jesus, if you like Star Trek, you got to say Jeffrey because it's Patrick Stewart playing a flamboyant older gay man, which is pretty cool.
You don't gotta tell me twice. Let's see. Around when did that come out? 1990 something.
I don't know. When I first came out, 1990.
Oh, mother flubber! He's correct. That is his first acting credit.
Holy shit.
Oh my!
Oh, that was a shot in the dark, but I got it.
His character is named Darius. In the movie or whatever, Jeffrey, and he is the classic gay character from Mad Men, who resembles the co-writer of this movie, who played the FBI agent,
who looks like Zach Quinto from American Horror Story, who's also gay. Therefore, it comes around in a circle.
Yeah, give the gold medal to Sean.
Oh, Lord in heaven.
Holy crap.
Oh, my gosh. What in the world? What in the world?
Yeah, that is crazy.
All right.
Jeez.
Are you going to keep this in? I don't even know. Is this going to be like...
Well, you got to keep that part in.
We do Doctor Who gives a fuck.
Yeah, I'm definitely keeping that in.
Yeah, okay. By the way, speaking of gays, did anybody else get the first impression that Mark Rylance was kind of gay in this movie, and then maybe he's not?
A little bit.
He's not?
A little bit.
Not really.
Oh, but this was the 50s, so the code. They had to mention his family.
Not really, but just there was definitely an emphasis on this plutonic bond that he had with his assistant. But I didn't necessarily think he was that.
Let's not forget a Taylor. I mean, if this was in the 90s, he'd definitely be gay-coded.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like if this was made in the 50s, I would see some hidden meaning or something.
That's Hitchcock. But pardon the pun with the cock. Anyway, but no, he makes a mention to her, to Mabel, of the guy that works in the whatever shop down the street, and he says he's ever so handsome with a mustache and blah blah blah. And then we learn later on that he was married, but I don't think he had any children. I don't know.
Yeah, he had a daughter.
He did have a daughter? He did say, I'm so sorry. Well, was he telling the truth, though, about that? Because we find out in the final... You know what? I like to think that he has a... You know what? If I were to, if I was like Mr. Criterion and I had to release this on a disc, of course I'd preserve this as it was, but then I'd be like, this is Sean's cut. And it ends with him and Mabel sitting in those chairs and saying, well, this is it. Go to Paris. Bye. End of movie. That's it. That's it. None of this fancy shit that goes on. None of this traitor shit. None of this arson shit. None of this tattoo shit. Because I really, truly believe that part of the movie shit on the rest of the first part of the movie. I think that was, I don't want to say awful. It's not, I can't think of a movie where like the last episode, or not the last episode, the last scene ruined the movie. But it's just unnecessary. So
Yeah, it doesn't ruin it, but it does just kind of leave like a bit of a sour note to end on.
Yeah, it's bad movie makers, whoever's responsible for that, bad screenwriters. We loved everything up until that.
Yeah, Graham Moore, ditch the twists. You're not Shyamalan.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Oh, I don't know. Is that an insult or a compliment? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Ditch the twists, come back to fists.
I
Oh,
was okay with the reveal of his backstory of his crazy gangster past. I just didn't like the Michael Myers resurrection, but 'cause his story went from blue jeans to losing his family due to his former gangster life.
Okay, I'm going to go back and just say, did you just say Michael Myers resurrection?
Yes.
When did you see that?
Yes, because I said earlier. No. What?
Isn't that the name of like Halloween 6?
no. I think it was like 8, Halloween Resurrection.
We're going to rate it soon, but I got one more thing to say before we rate it. So, yeah, after watching the movie, of course, I'm on Letterboxd. I have to. And I noticed somebody wrote down there, oh, this movie, The Outfit, it's the professional young woman of 2022. Or, I'm sorry, promising young woman of 2022. And I was like, wait, what is that? And so I looked up Promising Young Woman, which was from 2020, starring Carey Mulligan. And
Good movie.
yeah, I had some time, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch this and see what connection this person has gleaned between The Outfit and Promising Young Woman. And turns out there's practically no connection at all.
Thank God, that's what I thought.
Except for there is a twist at the end. Oh. Yeah, there's a twist, but it's not like this whole calculated film and like no. It's just there's a twist that you don't really see coming. That's it. That's the connection. And as I did enjoy watching Promising Young Woman, and Carey Mulligan was great. And there were some other interesting performances, but I wouldn't connect this movie in any way to The Outfit. But
maybe they mean kind of a sleeper hit thriller, but not one that many people were talking about at the time.
I think that's going deep.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think that Promising Young Woman was a bigger hit than this was, but
definitely.
Well, The Outfit's the better movie, but Promising Young Woman was all right. But it's a, I don't know what you, it's almost a black comedy. I would almost call it that.
Yes.
Okay, I guess it is.
And I did a lot more fist pumping in the air at the end of Promising Young Woman than I did in this movie.
Yeah, and felt a little bit more satisfied.
Oh, you saw that too. Oh, I didn't expect Bo Burnham to be in it, and so that was a bonus.
I didn't notice that.
What? That's her sort of love interest in the movie.
Oh, I don't think I know what he looks like.
Well, he looks like her love interest in that movie.
Yeah,
really tall, skinny white guy.
Yeah, Bo Burnham. He's got a great thing that he did during COVID on Netflix. I can't remember the name of it. Fuck.
It's called The Inside.
There you go. Yeah, Bo Burnham. He's a comedian. He's extremely handsome in the movie. And what they did in Promising Young Woman is they cast actors who were, traditional next door boys in a lot of romantic comedies and stuff to make them look like ass.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I'm like mansplaining this to Caleb, and I think he already knows. I'm so sorry.
Oh, mansplaining.
Yeah.
Oh, how dare you, sir. How dare you.
Inside's fantastic, and fun fact on that is it was filmed in the house, the original Nightmare on Elm Street house, even though it has no connection to the body of the work. And Bo Burnham also wrote and directed 8th Grade, that little movie from A24.
Oh, that's a good movie.
It is a good movie.
I remember liking it.
It's like a Ladybug-like movie.
Yeah. Or you mean Lady Bird?
Lady Bird, sorry. Lady Bird.
God.
So yeah, we're going to rate this sucker, The Outfit, out of... out of 5 what do you call those things? Snow globes?
Promising Young Women. Oh.
There's another term for snow globes. I can't think of what they're. But anyway, those things.
Snow globes. It's all cool.
So, out of 5 snow globes, how many are you going to give this movie, Sean?
I love this movie. I really, truly love this movie up until the end. And so I don't know how much I want to shave off of 4. Is it 4 or 5?
5 is the max.
Out of 5, I want to shave this off. But since I think for the most part that this was a really excellent ride, I'm going to say 4.5 snow globes.
Nice.
5. I really like this movie. Despite the ending, I would still try to show this to people that don't look at their phones. No, seriously, this movie is people talking in a room, and that's not going to go over well with, I swear, about 90% of Americans, because they're going to want to look on their phone.
Right, you're right.
Blah, 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 blah. Okay, it's not going to work. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, I'm going to give this a 4.5.
A way you might be able to divine if someone you know might be willing to settle in for this. Just like we all have friends, and there's some people who would consider it a treat to go to the actual theater, and there's other people who would think that the most abhorrent thing to do with your extra time. So if you know someone who would appreciate going to the theater, then they would probably do well with this movie.
Absolutely, yes. If someone could shut up and sit down and not be able to look at anything else except the big giant screen in front of them, yes, they would enjoy this.
Oh wait, I thought Eric meant like the theater, like going to a play.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh,
but I think Sean was.
Also, I think in about 20 years, when everybody has forgotten about this movie, somebody's going to make it into a play. I'll bet you anything.
There's no question. And then Caleb?
I think I'd give it a 3.5. I really did enjoy it all the way up until the end. And I think it would have been a 4. But I feel like I don't feel like it's a movie that would hold up super well on repeat viewings. I think you guys even kind of hinted towards that. Because I feel like in the back of my head, I'd be like, it feels a little cheaper knowing that everything was kind of orchestrated by this guy.
Not everything.
But I think it looks beautiful. I think the performances were quite good. I didn't really mention it, but I think there's a lot of really great focus on scenes just between 2 characters. I think almost
Yes.
every time we get a scene with just 2 characters, I think the movie really pops. So yeah, 3.5.
I'm going to give my rating in about 10 more minutes. But
here we go.
Speaking of what Sean said about someone who can just pay attention to the movie, a few years ago, I had a VR headset and I would watch Netflix things and stuff on that thing. And I don't have it now, but I'll get another one of these days. And I noticed one of the good things about watching like movies on a VR headset, aside from the fact that you can simulate like an IMAX theater in your own home, that's cool. But the other thing I noticed when I used to use it, because you have that thing on your face, you cannot go to your phone, and unless you like literally pause the movie or take the thing off. So it worked really well because you feel like a captive audience member because you can't see your hands and all that stuff. But anyway, let's see. Rotten Tomatoes, the critics gave this movie an 85%. The audience higher with 92. The little blurb says, this is one of the movies that has two blurbs now. This is a newer thing on Rotten Tomatoes. The critics blurb and the audience blurb. The critics blurb says, "The outfit isn't flashy, but a solid story, and Mark Rylance's tightly tailored performance make this a comfortable fit for fans of old school thrillers."
Yeah.
So stupid.
Can't believe you laughed at
No,
both
but
those.
that's true.
Oh, just the puns. It's true, but the puns. The audience blurb says, "Simple but effective. The outfit uses great performances and a smart, twist-filled plot to generate satisfying spy thrills."
Spy thrills.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means either. I mean, I know what they mean, but that's like saying it's Hitchcockian. It's poppycockian.
Just throw around terms.
So I myself, if you listen to this whole conversation, I guess here you are. It's not like we were tearing it apart and like being really hypercritical on this movie, but for me, it's a solid 4. If I had seen this in the theater, I probably would have walked out thinking it was a 5, and then I would have like come back to my senses later. But I give it a solid 4 because if there's anything any movie can provide for me, regardless of who's in it or what the story or subject matter is, yada yada yada, if I just lose sense of time and I'm just completely in the movie, this movie, it's not that long to begin with. I think it's an hour 45, but it feels like a brisk 45 minutes to me, the whole movie, because I'm just like completely in it. And I was completely, thoroughly entertained the first time. And if every movie experience could be like that, then I'd just be the happiest person on the planet. And I noticed, because time, at least to me, time runs really fast. This movie is kind of constructed in 20-minute segments. Mm-hmm. If you mark the clock every 20 minutes, that's when it kind of shifts to like a different conversation or a different, time setting or whatever. But those 20-minute chunks, they feel like 5 minutes, but they actually run for, because like when Rylance is like talking to first Richie and Francis, it just feels like they had one conversation, but it actually goes for like 20 minutes, but it doesn't feel like it. And then the boss comes and that goes another 20 minutes. And then Francis comes back with the girlfriend. That's like another 20 minutes. It's just 20-minute segments. But it was great. It was great. And this is one of those rare times where someone recommended something to me and said, "You're really going to like it." And they actually delivered. Like, that's like 1 out of 10 for me.
Oh, I feel so happy. Oh, Uncle Roger's so happy.
Oh, no.
Nephew like movie.
Hiya.
No, it's not hiya. It's like, oh, good nephew.
Oh, you.
Like movie. And people who
that was great. I wish every recommendation. I wish every recommendation could work out like this.
I told you,
for me,
or as my mom says, "See, Mama knows best."
Oh no, she doesn't actually say that.
When she fills my stocking with a bunch of toiletries that I didn't even know that she knew I needed, but she went in my anyway. Yeah, very good. I'm so happy. All right, now we're gonna watch. No, I'm kidding.
Well, what's your next pick, Sean? This is the old ProgNeg way, isn't it? Someone picks.
I don't.
Oh, I didn't expect this, but okay.
I'm at liberty to say. I think. Oh no! I know what it is. I know what it is. So every my friend Hewitt and I, we have a tradition now for the last 2 months where he comes over and we each pick a movie and we watch that movie, a double feature. That's how I got to see X. So his last movie that he showed me, Eric, was a movie called Mother. with
Oh yeah,
with Renee Zellweger and I can't remember this guy's name. The guy from No Country for Old Men. What is his name?
Oh, Javier Bardem. Oh, do you mean with
There you go.
with
Javier Bardem. Is it Renee Zellweger or is it somebody
no,
else?
the Hunger Games?
no,
girl.
it's Jennifer Lawrence.
It's Jennifer Lawrence. I'm so sorry. Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem. And that one,
Yes, Mother.
have you seen this, Caleb?
By Darren Aronofsky.
I absolutely have. I'm a huge Aronofsky fan, and yes, I very, very much enjoy that.
I'm a burgeoning Aronofsky fan. This has been on my list. I'm absolutely looking forward to this.
Do you think that Eric would like that movie?
I'm surprised. I'd be surprised if you liked that movie, but I think Eric would be interested by it at the very least. But I really like that movie a lot.
Eric would like that movie more than I did. I actually fell asleep through part of it. But that was more chemical than... It's kind of like, Eric, when you showed me Interstellar. Do you know what I thought at the end of it? I'm like, Steve is going to fucking love this movie. and I told Steve, and he's like, okay. It's fucking...
Wow, Steve's never seen Interstellar.
How has Steve not seen it?
Oh,
That's
no,
ridiculous.
he would love it. He'd love it so much.
that's-
You know, when we did shit we watch on Netflix, and I picked the horror movies, and he picked the sci-fi movies, he would just pick these shit movies. It's
Yes,
like
he would.
Jupiter Ascending, Steve. No, stop. You have to curate the things that you show me.
Didn't you pick that one with CM Punk with the house that was like just
Yes.
like cum was like coming out of the walls? I was like, holy shit.
The girl on the third floor. Yeah, fuck that movie. That was when I was like, I'm not doing this like from stuff that I see that
from scratch.
Yeah. That's after
Jupiter
that.
Ascending featured the mob matron in this movie, The Outfit.
Don't watch Jupiter Ascending.
I watched it for your podcast, Sean. How does it make you feel? And the CM Punk cum movie.
Jesus, I'm
so
Well, stay tuned for that. I'm looking forward to it. But until then, closing out the show tonight, this is Eric.
This is Sean.
And this is Caleb.
Until next time.
The balcony is yours.
Prognosis negative.
Oh, the AC just turned on, which means it's time to start talking. All right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Are you ready? Is this your first?
I feel a little bit tense. I don't know why.
You always do with ProgNeg for whatever reason. Whenever you got to do the opening.
Is that a fact? I was unaware of.
Yeah, I noticed on my edit.
I just feel tense. I gotta get my fake notes. Gotta make sure my computer's running.
Got to extra settle in.
Make sure my mic's on. Okay, Eric. We just want to record a podcast here.
Because his story went from blue jeans to
Shut up, phone.
Losing his family to losing his family.
That was my phone. Sorry.
Due to his former gangster life.
Halloween 6 Resurrection.
No, I think it was like 8 Halloween Resurrection.
That was an unintended consequence.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
Sean, don't you have an iPhone? You just flick that little thing and it makes it quiet.
Where's the Pharos Project crew?
Shut up, phone! I think
There
I
you
should
go.
probably answer it, everybody. I'm so sorry. I apologize profusely. I'll answer this right now. Not The Room, just for clarification.
Yeah,
Just
Brie Larson.
Yeah, with Brie Larson and Jacob Tremblay.
Yeah. I don't want to step on the podcast, but I literally had no idea of the existence of that movie at all. I never saw a poster, didn't know what it was about. It looked completely random. Like when I see it amongst the nominees of that year, it looks completely made up to me. Like no, never had a clue.
Oh wait, it was nominated. It was this for Best Picture?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that it got nominated. I thought it just kind of fell through the cracks.
Yeah, this is one of those years when they nominated like 9 or 10 movies.
Oh, okay.
So I have no idea. I'm not going to talk. Never mind. That's enough.
Sure.
This
I'll just say I like that film quite a bit, and I was disappointed when I saw Predator, because I was like, oh, hey, that kid from Room, he's great.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Have you seen Dr. Sleep?
No, I've not seen that.
Okay. I haven't seen it either, but I saw a clip of it that had that kid in it, and it was really fucking good.
Oh, I didn't realize he was in that.
In a really creepy scene.
For some reason, I can't finish watching that movie, even though what I've seen of it, I like. I don't know what the deal is. It feels like it's 4 hours long for some reason. I don't know. And I should like it because it's so much an homage to Kubrick's version of The Shining. And you would think that would just like put me right into it, but I don't know. I don't know what's... But I do need to see the end, though, to see how it all works out.
Yeah, who directed that one again? The guy from The Haunting of Hill House and...
Yeah.
I forget his name, but maybe he was so used to writing for TV.
Yeah, last name starts with an F. I can't remember his name, though. I know who you're talking about.
Oh, Mike Flanagan.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, he does good shit.
Yeah. And speaking of potentially good shit, Eric, do you want to get this train up and rolling?